We're doing it. We're here. Daisy Haites, The Great Undoing. Let's go. Hi, hello everyone. My name is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. And today we are doing the next installment of the Jessa Hastings, Magnolia Parks, Daisy Haites series. I have only read the Daisy Haites books. I'm not interested in reading the Magnolia Parks books. These books are a little bit too toxic for me. They're just a little bit too annoying. I created the first one because I just didn't know if there were any girlies out there like me who didn't necessarily want to read them, but just like wanted to know the plot of them. And so that's why I read them, and now I'm making these videos. That's basically what we're going to be doing today. Now we are going through the second book. If you haven't seen the first video, watch that one first because that'll give you all the background on all the characters. This one is now the second one and the latest one that has come out. It also overlaps, I believe, BJ and Magnolia's story, so you definitely get spoilers for what happened in The Long Way Home. Just so you're aware, if you don't want to be spoiled for things, don't watch this one because it's the complete and total plot of the second book. So with that, let's go ahead and get started here. It's gonna be a long day. Let's go. Shall we begin? Let's begin. So our cast of characters, I'm not gonna go into describing them too much. If you want to know all about them, their age, everything like that, go watch the first video that I did on this because that's where it all will be. So let's introduce our cast of characters. We've got our main man, Christian Haites. He's our main hero. We've got Daisy Haites. She's our heroine. Then we got Daisy's older brother, Julian. We get all of their perspectives still in this book. Then we have Detective Killian Tiller. He's in here. We've got the box set boys. We've got Jonah, who is Christian's older brother. We have Henry. We have BJ. Then we have Magnolia Parks, of course. And then we have all of the Lost Boys, which are all of Julian's associates. I'm not going to say their names, each of their names, because I'll admit in this book it's not uber important. And then we also have Romeo Brambilla, who is also one of Julian's associates and also Daisy's ex-boyfriend. So here's our cast of characters for the whole book. There are other people that will be introduced in this book. However, we don't see them that much, so I just didn't think it was important to include them on here. Okay, and with that, let's go ahead and dive right in. We have first chapter 1, and we begin. It's been about 8 months since the end of the last book of Daisy Haites, since Christian walked out of Daisy's new London apartment. And so we come in, Daisy is waking up in her London apartment. She's, stretching, getting ready for the day, and oop, there's someone in bed with her. And guess who it is? Detective Tiller. Detective Tiller and her are apparently in a relationship now. How it started was basically that a few months after she left the compound, someone broke into her apartment. And she couldn't call her brother, she couldn't call anybody else, so she did what normal people do. She called the police. And Detective Tiller showed up, and he took the report. Then later in the week, he came back, and he fixed her door for her. Interesting method of foreplay, but it worked because she was pretty sad, lonely, feeling a bit blue. Tiller was there. She's always had a crush on him. They've always had a vibe, which is weird because they met when she was underage, but bing, bang, boom, they start making out, they hook up, and then after that, he just kept on showing up. Eventually, they just start dating. Now they're in a relationship. They're very happy together. Daisy really likes him. He really likes her. They're basically in love. However, Daisy, of course, still has some feelings about Christian. She is, very much in denial about those feelings. This is one of the quotes that she has about Christian during this time. It's, "I made myself a deal. I would be done with Christian Haites. Done as I could be, and I won't ever be fully. I don't think. But Christian was in the corner there, this towering statue like some altar I built of him, or for him in my living room, and he was always there, casting a shadow on everything, discoloring all the ways I might potentially be happy without him. Because I don't want to be without him. I want to be with him. I did before, I still do now, and of course I still do. But I can't be." And she talks about like this really happy Valentine's Day date that her and Tiller had. And it was really after that she decided to put her feelings about Christian away. And this is what she said. "So I decided then, that night on Valentine's Day, that I was going to pack Christian away. He couldn't live in my living room anymore. I didn't know how to pack him down. I didn't know how to take loving him apart. I don't think I can. I think I accidentally loved him in a way where he'll be my weak knee forever. So maybe he's a statue I can't tear down, and I'll always bow to and see in some holy light, but maybe he's a statue I could shift onto a trolley and move him out of the main room and away into the guest room, the same room where all my thoughts live, the ones about my brother and how much I miss him and how scared I am without him, and how I wish he would just come and get me and make me come home, so he won't. But he won't, so I won't either." I mean, we're starting off dramatic. Makes sense, right? She still has feelings about Christian. She's sad about not being with her brother, but she's trying to move on, living her normal life, and she does enjoy it. I will say, even though Julian is out of her life now, Miguel, her bodyguard from the first book, still does follow her. In this book, he's still around, still keeps an eye on her. So, I mean, that's something, right? Also, in this first chapter, it ends, Daisy receives some flowers, and she doesn't know who they're from. It doesn't come with a note. She's been kind of receiving these flowers for a few months now. She assumed they're from Tiller, but she finds out that Tiller hasn't been sending her flowers, so they just assume that it's either Christian or Romeo or Julian who's sending them. So that's the first chapter. Okay, then we move into chapter 2, and we have Christian's perspective. He is actually at a birthday party for Julian. It's Julian's birthday again. And he is reminiscing on Daisy. He is reminiscing on how he loved her, how he left her, how he regrets it. This is what he says. "I just never saw her coming. I couldn't have picked loving her out of a lineup until it happened. Then it was everything. My first thought, last thought, mid-thought, the name I'd say in my sleep, the body I'd think about when I was with other bodies, the smell I'd try to chase down every time I'd walk through a Selfridges, just so I could breathe in something that smelled like her and feel close to her again. But I can never find it." So he's definitely in his feels about that. He regrets it, but he feels like it's too late for him to go back and tell her that. So he's trying to move on. And how he tries to move on is with this nasty, nasty girl named Vanna Ripley. She's just the worst. She's very vapid. She's very into herself. She's famous. She's trying to be an actress. But she's hot. So that's why. That's why Christian chooses to hang out with her. Christian does talk about going to visit parks in New York City. He went with Henry, and while he was there, something almost happened between them, but he stopped it. We'll talk about that more later, but that's just something to keep in mind. Of course something almost happened. Also, Christian talks about the fact that Julian had to go on the run for a little bit after everything that happened in the last book. The authorities were after Julian because he was kidnapping kids, and so Julian fled the country. Julian ended up making a deal with the government that if he found a painting for them and gave it back to them, he could come back. All the charges were dropped. So they did that during the 8 months. Christian helped him out. And so now Julian is back. He's just gotten back. And basically it just ends with Christian knowing that Julian also misses Daisy. He misses Daisy. They're both sad, but I guess they're just trying to make it work at this point. So now we move into chapter 3, and we get the first chapter from baby Julian's perspective. And really during this chapter, he's just talking about how sad and mad he is about Daisy and missing her. This was his quote. "She wanted out? Fine. Fuck her. She's out. I don't need her, even if she's my best friend, even if walking away from her that day felt like lopping myself in half." Lopping is just such a unique word to use there. He's missing her. Also, he talks a little bit about his time having to leave the country. We really don't get into the specifics about that time, which is interesting because I feel like that would be an interesting thing to talk about, but they don't. He talks about kind of what he had to do to get back, the painting and all of that stuff. He also talks about the fact that while he was on the run, he was living on a beach. He got a dog while he was there. He still owns this dog, and this dog is really cute because there's this shtick that happens. You know, he keeps on telling people that it's like a guard dog, but really this dog just like loves everyone. And so he's always like, "Oh, don't touch him. He's gonna kill you." But then he like just starts licking people, and it frustrates Julian. Of course it does. He gets a dog. Also, he did very normal things while he was there too. Like, I guess as normal as you can do while being on the run. And so he kind of understands where Daisy is coming from in the sense of like wanting to live a normal life. He does know about Tiller and Daisy being together. He's not a huge fan of it, obviously. Tiller was one of the people who was after him for forever, but he is happy that she's at least safe with Tiller. So that at least makes him happy. And now that he's back from being on the run, he's laying low, but he's pretty bored. So of course he is. Now we head into chapter 4, and we got Daisy again, and she is in her 3rd year of medical school. She's doing residency type stuff. She's working the rounds. She's been placed in a hospital. She gets to the hospital to start her rounds. However, she finds more flowers in her locker. And again, no note. Now she's getting concerned. And so she calls Tiller about it. And then Tiller comes in and shows up and brings her this box that he found. And it has mulched daisies in it. So now they're both concerned. Then we go to chapter 5. Julian is chilling with the Lost Boys and Christian at the compound when Daisy and Tiller barge in. And this is the first time Daisy has been back to the compound since she left. Lots of tension is going on. Like, Christian is staring at Daisy because, like, obviously he's still in love with her. You've got Daisy who's not looking at Christian because she's still in love with him. You've got Romeo there who refuses to look at Daisy because he still hates her after everything. And then you've got Daisy who's kind of like glancing over at Romeo because she's like, is this guy okay? I want him to forgive me. So lots of things going unsaid in this one. Daisy is asking them about the flowers, if they're playing a trick on her. There's like some moments in there that Daisy and Julian banter like siblings would, and kind of like going back into that relationship. Still very much strained, but you can see like, hey, maybe there's hope for them. However, Julian basically makes fun of her for being concerned, makes fun of her fears, and puts her down, which of course then hurts Daisy. And like, Julian knows that he's hurting her. It hurts Daisy's feelings. She's like, okay, fine. Like, I'm not going to come back. Whatever. Like, you suck. She leaves. Tiller also has some choice words for Julian before he leaves. And right as soon as that door closes and they leave the compound, Julian goes into full bro mode. This is what happens. I wait for the front door to slam shut, and then I look over at Christian. Is it you? No. He frowns. He looks worried. I look over at Rome. You? He shakes his head, swallows nervous. This'll fuck with his head too. In his mind, no one's allowed to hurt Daisy but him. Dumb. Like, what is that? I nod my chin at Dex, and he rolls his eyes. Fuck off. Right then, I nod. Everything else stops. Call every florist, gardener, every botanist, every fucking horticulturist on the British Isles who's grown or sold roses and daisies in the last 3 months. I look at Miguel. How the fuck did you miss this? So see, like, he still cares, but he would never show that to her. And so yeah, they're gonna figure out who the heck is messing with Daisy. Okay, now we head into chapter 6, and Daisy is recounting a time a few months ago when Julian, Christian, and Koa showed up on her doorstep at her apartment, and Julian had just been shot. It was late at night, and that's when we find out, and also Tiller finds out, that Daisy has outfitted one of her extra rooms with like a hospital room. Like, she's got all the things that you need for a hospital, for triage, surgery, for all of that. And Tiller's like, what the heck is this? And also there's a few stolen paintings in there, which of course, you know, Tiller also hates. But also it's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, so Daisy wants to be normal, but also she has this whole room prepped for things not to be normal. We're like, okay, do you really want to leave the gangster life, or are you just saying that? We go in there. This is the first time she's really seen any of them. And so there's, again, lots of tension. And so she's trying to, like, calm herself down, get ready to, like, do surgery, trying not to show her emotions during this. And here's the reasons why, at least for Christian. Christian, because he's him and he knows me, how I've always daydreamed someone would truly know me. And now he did, but it didn't matter anyway because we couldn't be together either. So I muffled the cry that came from my mouth with my hand and took a few breaths. Then there was a hand on my arm. You're shaking, said my favorite voice in the world. It's just adrenaline, I told Christian without looking at him. He nodded and pushed some hair behind my ears without meaning to do it. You've got this, Daisy. You can do it. So, like, yeah, her favorite voice in the world, Christian, you know, anyways. Christian's really, like, helping her out. They have a moment. Tiller's mad, but then Julian starts to take a dive, starts to really die, and so then Tiller steps in and, like, somehow inadvertently saves Julian's life. Oh, and this is kind of where she talks a bit about what losing Julian would be like for her. She says, losing him in the way where not just his world would go dark, but mine too, because even then, even when I wasn't ready to admit it out loud or in a way where where it would move me to change, I knew that I didn't know who I was without my brother. Once all of this happens, like, Tiller wants to report Julian and, like, report it all, but Daisy's like, absolutely not. And, like, this is kind of the beginning of, like, the issues in their relationship. That's when you kind of first see these cracks. After Tiller saves Julian's life, she tells him that she loves him for the first time, and of course she does it right in front of Christian. So, I mean, poor guy. Chapter 7, we have Christian. He's hanging out with the box set boys. BJ, Henry, and Jonah are there, and they talk about basically Christian's issues with Daisy and kind of what's going on with Daisy. It also comes up that Henry and Jonah are still dating Tora. Like, that throuple is still going on. The boys don't want to be in it. I wouldn't even necessarily say it's a throuple, but, like, there's lots of tension there. They also talk about the fact that Magnolia Parks is going to be coming back to London. It's her first time coming back to London since everything that happened with her and BJ in the last book, because her father is getting married, so she's coming back for that. And BJ is freaking out. He's trying to play it cool, but you can tell that he's freaking out. Of course he is. Next we have chapter 8, and Tiller drops Daisy off to have breakfast with Delina, who is Romeo's mom. And as he's dropping her off, he's being very sweet. He's being very protective. Daisy's loving it because she loves him. She talks about her feelings for him. And this is what she says. He nods back, still not sold, then brushes his mouth over mine, kissing me a bit, then kissing me more, which is always how our kisses go. He might be my favorite kisser in the world, actually, because it always starts out quick, like a habit, and then it's as though he remembers how good we are at it, and he kisses me more, and his hands go in my hair and on my face, and I feel like I'm the prettiest girl he's ever seen. But that's just how it feels whenever I'm with him. That's how it's always felt with him, even before we were together, that he always liked me, mostly by accident, which he said is true, that he never meant to like me, let alone love me, never meant to have sex with me that first night. He hadn't even planned on kissing me, but he couldn't figure out how to not. Nice, I guess. And she goes in to hang out with Delina, and they chat about Romeo and how hurt he was by her in the past, and that also he's going to therapy, which good on you, Romeo. I think everyone in this book should go to therapy. He's specifically going for the fact that like she shot herself, and it's like, Romeo, how about we expand? How about we expand why we're going to therapy? Like, yeah, that's a good thing to go to therapy for, but let's also talk about all the toxic stuff going on too. Let's do that as well, right? Okay. Also, Daisy asks if she thinks Romeo would ever forgive her, and this is what she says. I put my chin on my hand. Do you think he'll ever forgive me? She takes a sip of her tea the second you ask. Now we get to chapter 9, and Christian is at home. He's hanging out with Tora and Henry. They're playing video games, and this is him confiding in Henry about Daisy and his feelings for Daisy. Henry asks, do you love her again? He asks carefully. We've been friends for too long. He can see the answer on my face, but I think about lying anyway. Almost want to save some face, but don't really feel like denying her anymore either. Not after how we started. I shrug. Never stopped. And like that shocks Henry, which I'm just like, is it a shock? Is it a shock? He's dating Vanna. Obviously this man is hurting. That's basically what chapter 9 is. Then we go to chapter 10, and Julian is going to a party. I think it's a party for Magnolia's dad, because he knows that Magnolia is going to be there, and he's like kind of biting at the bit to see her. Like, he has a crush on her, like every other man in this book does, but he would deny it. This is what he says. I'm going to pause here to say, I don't get it. I don't get hung up on people. And to clarify, I'm not hung up on her. I think of her sometimes. That's all. Text her when I think of her, which isn't often, but just sometimes. Just one of those people your head gets stuck on. Yeah. Okay. Sure, Julian. Sure. So he goes straight in to Magnolia, and they start flirting. They start flirting like crazy. That's just kind of their relationship. Julian flirts and tries to get her to come home with him, and like that's just how that goes. She's being like really coy. However, this time Julian is a little bit flustered by it, and it kind of annoys him because he's not usually flustered by girls, but of course Magnolia, just one of those people who flusters men even when they're like a die-hard ladies man. He also sees BJ and Magnolia share a small moment, but then BJ leaves. And Julian tries to get her again to come home with him, but she doesn't. However, things are kind of left open-ended between them. Julian's a little bit hopeful that maybe he will be able to wear her down. And he also calls her his Everest, which I guess is, supposed to be a cute thing. I don't know. Sounds kind of weird, but sure. Now we get to chapter 11, and Daisy is just getting done with her rounds at the hospital. She's just leaving the hospital. Her and her classmate are walking out together, and Romeo is there because he's, she's got to have extra security. Her and Romeo still aren't talking to each other, so it's like very tension filled. And so as she's walking to her car, there's a drive-by, someone shooting. Romeo is able to save Daisy. However, her classmate has been shot in the head and is dead. And it's a whole mess. And he takes her to the compound. Then we move into chapter 12. Daisy being brought to the compound. And it's from Julian's perspective. He comes in trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Here's about the drive-by. Romeo is telling him like it was really sloppy, so like I don't know who would have done this. Then we have Tiller coming in, who is also freaking out, being like, where is she? And relieved when he sees that like she's fine. This is what Julian sees. Tiller puts his hands on her face and kisses her cheek, holds her as tight as I've ever seen her be held, and it's weird watching someone love her so much all of a sudden. This weird thought rattles through my brain that I should have been there to see it. You want to watch someone fall in love with your kid the way they deserve to be loved, and I missed it. Cute. So with all of this and with the heightened stuff that's happening, Julian tells her, hey, you're going to move back into the compound. And she freaks out about this. She's like, absolutely not. I do not want to move back to the compound. But Tiller thinks it's also a good idea. So he's like, no, I really think that you should, because security is just better here. And again, she freaks out. She's like, no, absolutely not. She's like almost having like a panic attack. Julian then is like, well, Tiller can come with you. I promise that none of the boys will do anything to him. Like, this will be a safe zone for him. And even that doesn't calm her down. Like, she's still like freaking out, having a panic attack. And basically she knows that she's gonna have to move back, begging Tiller to like remember her before she like moves back. It's because everyone knows, except for Tiller, everyone knows that once she's back, she's gonna be sucked back into the world, which means she's no longer gonna be the normal Daisy that Tiller fell in love with. She's gonna now be gangster Daisy again. So no more normal, and Daisy doesn't like that. She's freaking out. So that's how that one ends. Chapter 13, and it's from Daisy's perspective, and her and Tiller are in bed that night, and Daisy is already getting the sense of the end of everything with Tiller. Like, she already like can see the end. She's not quite there yet, but she can see it. She gets the sense that Tiller does too. This is what she says. I love Tiller. We work when I'm normal. We work. He's good. He's beautiful. He's protective. He's thoughtful. He's kind. And we work in my W2 4-bedroom apartment. We work in the cafe across the road. We work in the Thai restaurant around the corner, at the cinema, in the farmer's market. We work when we walk through Kensington Garden Square. But I don't know if we'll work here. We're going to be okay, he tells me, his nose pressed up against mine. But I suspect he knows as well as I do. Like that they're not going to work. They just keep on telling each other that it's going to be fine, even though, yeah, they both know that it's not. The next morning, Tiller leaves early for work. He also mentions that Tiller still works with his ex-girlfriend, and also that his parents do not like Daisy. So again, just more strains in their relationship, as we all can see. So she gets up, walks around the compound, and Christian is there, and this is like their first time interacting with each other alone since everything. It's kind of awkward, but it's also like very sweet, very cute. Like, they're very like flustered with each other, like especially Christian. Like, he's just being like really cute and sweet and awkward, and he's like trying really hard to be chill, and Daisy still doesn't like I don't know how she doesn't see that he is obviously still like very much in love with her. He asks about her classmate and like apologizes about that. He also asks her if she's happy about being back at all. He also makes a comment about how Romeo is like always the one saving her, and this is what he says. He breathes out, sounds relieved actually. Romeo fucking Brambilla. He shakes his head. What a smooth move. I give him a look. It wasn't a move. That's just his shtick then? Christian lets out a laugh. Saving you? I sit up tall, eyebrows up defensively. So what if it is? He throws his hands in the air and turns away. How the fuck am I meant to compete with that? Like, come on. He obviously likes you, Daisy. They're like still having these talks. She's very confused by it. You can tell that she's also into it. Like, she's still very much attracted to him, is doing her best not to get too close, but it's cute. It's a cute conversation. It would probably be cuter if she wasn't in a relationship, but again, that's the name of the game. In this book, we get chapter 14, and Christian is thinking about the fact, well, he's just found out that BJ and Parks had a baby in high school, and that Parks had lost the baby. And I guess like now everything makes sense. I guess I don't fully understand how everything makes sense now. Like how everyone is like still acting the way that they are. Because like high school was like years ago. And so I would think that by now, it's not like it just happened. So I would assume by now that maybe they would be at a better place to where they could be together, but I guess they can't. But also they still have ownership over each other. Anyways, I don't get it. Christian and BJ have a heart-to-heart, and Christian apologizes to BJ, being like, hey, if I would have known about all of this stuff, I never would have pursued Parks, and I never would have fallen in love with her the way that I did. BJ doesn't really believe him, which is like, okay, BJ, like, I don't know. But also BJ is just like perpetually sad and depressed, so like, go figure. Find out that Parks has decided that she's gonna stay in London for a while, which fucks BJ up. Of course it does. Yeah, honestly, I think people are being just a little bit too emotional. BJ's just so dramatic. Dude, chill. Can we maybe chill? Then we go to chapter 15, and Daisy is feeling awkward around the Lost Boys. She doesn't really know how to act around them anymore, and so she's kind of been like sequestering herself up in her room. Romeo comes in and he's like, hey, you're acting weird. Just come down, hang out with us. Like, what are you doing up here? Like, they're back on speaking terms. We also find out that Romeo is now dating Tavi, the girl that he had cheated on Daisy with, and Daisy gets a little bit pissed about it, and you know, their toxic relationship rears its ugly head. This is what happens because they're talking about her being with Tiller and him being with Tavi. So he says, and you over there always playing it down, her relationship with Tiller. She's like, me? I interrupt. What about you with Tavi? I give him a little shove, making me think I'm crazy for worrying you'll always go back there. And what do you care if I do, Days? He puts his face close to mine, gives me a tight, over-it smile. It's not me you fancy anyway. You're just shit at sharing. I turn away from him, worried that's not true, or worse, that it is. That I've just strung him along for years because I can't bear the idea of someone else having something that was mine first. What a thing to say. That happens. They both hurt each other and they keep hurting each other. So it's like, at this point, it's just hard to keep track of where things are between them. So Daisy ends up going downstairs, and her and the Lost Boys play a game of Sticky Fingers, the game that they made up while growing up. Tiller walks in and automatically breaks up the game, and he's like, not impressed. He's not impressed with the game. He's not impressed with the prize, because the prize, of course, is like a stolen artifact. They have an argument over it, and like, she tries to make him see that it's not that serious, but he is like a very black and white person, and so there's no room for any gray area. Daisy begs him to try and get to know her brother, but Tiller's like not super into it. Obviously, he doesn't want to get to know a criminal, but he says he will try for her. So that's at least something. We move to chapter 16, and Julian and Daisy have a long-awaited heart-to-heart with each other. Julian apologizes to her for everything that he said to her that day. Also, Daisy gets to explain why she betrayed him, which, I mean, has to do with the kid stuff, and then also the fact that he apparently was working with the people who had killed their parents. However, he wasn't actually doing that. He had played a poker game with them at some point, and he lost, and so he had to wire them the money that he lost, and so that's what that financial exchange was. It wasn't them working together. Kind of weird. I don't know why he would have been working with the people or would have been playing a poker game. I don't know how that explains things away, but I guess it does. In the end, basically, they just tell each other that they missed each other. It was sweet. These are the things that Julian says, because it's all from Julian's perspective, is, I know you're the sun face. You're the sun that shines on everything and makes it all light, and you're the thing that makes us know right from wrong. And when you left, we got worse, but now you're back. I elbow her gently. Very sweet. And then it ends with, I missed you, face. She stares straight ahead, puts her head on my shoulder. Feels like the first deep breath I've taken in a year. Same, she says. Clark is joining us now. He decided to be very dramatic in how he wanted to get up here, so he jumped over the computer. Goodness gracious. Also, sorry, my computer, the fan is running, so sorry if that's loud and if you can hear it. My bad. Clark, you're gonna have to stay chill if you're gonna be up here, okay? Stay chill. We got chapter 17 now, and Daisy is having the dinner with Tiller and Julian. They get to the restaurant that Daisy picked out, and Julian is laying it on thick. He, even though he is a criminal, he wants everyone to like him, and that includes Tiller. So they get to this restaurant, and Tiller, you can tell, is very taken aback by how loved Julian is, how everyone is talking to him, how he's talking to everyone. Like, he's like well liked, and that kind of throws Tiller off. They have a pretty decent conversation. They're talking about how each other got into their line of work, being a bit cheeky about it. Tiller asks how he does it, and, Julian's being really blasé about it. Julian ends up, quoting the whole Jack Dawson quote from the Titanic. And this is what Daisy says, because she stops him from continuing. Julian chuckles, and in my peripherals, I can see that it's worked. Quoting that fucking movie has buttered Tiller right up. I can see it in his eyes. He, reluctantly, is finding my brother completely delightful. So yeah, Tiller starts to like Julian even though he doesn't want to. He does. They end up getting on the topic of religion and being saved very briefly, but I love this quote by Julian at the end. Tiller blinks, sitting back in his chair. You think you're saved? Nah, I doubt it. Julian shrugs and lets out a small laugh as he takes another big gulp of wine. Probably a bit loved, though. Which I don't know, I kind of like. So, anyways. Then we get to chapter 18, and Christian is hanging out at the compound with Julian. They're playing video games, obviously for no other reason than just wanting to play video games with Julian. Right? Wrong. He, of course, wants to see Daisy while he's there, and Daisy does come in. Christian's being all lovesick, being a lovesick puppy about it. She mentions that her and Tiller are going to go to a new art gallery opening. She's waiting on him, but then Tiller calls to let her know that he can't make it. So, of course, Christian volunteers to take her. And she's like, okay. So then she goes up to get her stuff to go, and Julian's just there looking at him, smirking. This is what happens. This is what he does. Julian clicks his tongue. What are you playing at? Nothing. I give him a look. Just taking my friend's sister to an art gallery. Never mind that you're in love with her then? He asks, eyebrows back up. Yeah, I sniff. Never mind that. We lock eyes, and I think he thinks it's something he has over me, that he knows I love her. But actually, I don't give a shit who knows I love her. Or maybe I do, because she loves someone else now, and I hate looking stupid. They go, and they talk about Tiller a little bit. He talks about how the fact that she's not actually going to be going to spend Christmas with Tiller and his family, that they decided that it's best if he just goes. And once they make it to the art gallery, Daisy makes a little jab at Christian for him being in love with Parks in the past, which he then tries to explain, but of course, miscommunication over and over and over again. This is what happens when he tries to explain it. She purses her lips and looks at me seriously. There were lots of things you didn't know before. I stare over at her for a few seconds. Sigh a little. I know. I nod. Wonder if how sorry I am is all over my face. Are you going to hold it over my head forever then? What? She blinks, eyebrows up, eyes sparked and ready to fight. That you were madly in love with someone else while I was in love with you? She walks quickly up the stairs ahead of me before turning back to glare at me. Maybe. It was a mistake, I tell her. Her eyes go a bit dark. I'm sure it was. I shake my head at her. That's not what I meant, Daisy. I know what you meant, she tells me proudly. But I don't think she does. Which she doesn't. She doesn't understand what he's trying to say. And it's just so annoying. They go into the gallery. They kind of talk, but also they don't. He tries to, again, say something very real, but she doesn't want to hear it. He says, Daisy, I start. Everything that happened, I cocked up. I know I did. Didn't even know that I was in love. He was about to say love, but then she interrupts him. We don't need to talk about it. She shakes her head quickly. Yes, we do. I take a step towards her face, my face all serious. She keeps shaking her head. I don't want to. I do, I shrug. I have a boyfriend. I give her a tight smile. I don't care. Christian, she crosses her arms, face crossed and stubborn, kind of stressed. You're ruining art day. I feel my own stupid face soften. I've ruined enough for her. I never want to ruin anything for her again. So, again, they're about to have a conversation, but also Daisy obviously isn't ready for it, and it's like, come on, girl. He's fine with not talking about it yet, but he definitely still wants to. And it ends with a very cliche moment of the two of them, where she's looking at a painting and she says, I love this one, she tells me. Me too, I say, staring at her. She glances over at me and her eyes catch, and my cheeks go hot, so then I look quickly at the painting. Same, I nod coolly. But cute, work, whatever. Then we get to chapter 19, and it's Daisy's chapter. She talks about how Tiller wasn't necessarily happy that her and Christian went to the art gallery together, but what are you gonna do, Tiller? Tiller hasn't said, but she knows that dinner with Julian went really well and that Tiller likes Julian, but Tiller is also feeling conflicted about that. At one point, Tiller comes home from work and Daisy has left out some stolen gold that Julian gave to her, and she knows that he's gonna see it, and so she knows that he's gonna have some type of feeling about it, which he does. They get into a fight over it. He's mad about these stolen items and that they're just out and about, and he's living in this world now, and she's trying to be it's not that big of a deal. You like Julian, I don't understand why you don't. And he's like, yeah, I hate that I like him though. And Daisy's like, but you're dating someone like him. And they come very close to breaking up, but then they're like, no, I'm not ready, I can't do it. And so they don't. This is what Daisy says. We've crashed. I know we have. No way to make it ashore, but maybe we can still pretend we'll make it, because I'm not ready. Not ready to let him go, not ready to not see him anymore, not ready for his hands not to be on my waist, not ready to feel alone again, just not ready to say goodbye to him or the life that he represents. And then they have sex. So, see, I don't understand relationships like this when people stay in these relationships, even though they know that they're going to end. I don't understand it. Don't do that. Then we go to chapter 20, and it's Christian's chapter, and he's hanging out with the box set boys and Parks. And Magnolia is now apparently dating one of BJ's idols. His name is Jack. Hilarious. Magnolia is obviously doing it because she knows that it'll drive BJ nuts. Christian then goes into telling us about the time when he visited Magnolia in New York City and how they almost hooked up. They both got really drunk, were really sad about not being with who they wanted to be with. They ended up making out in an elevator. Parks start to take off her clothes, takes his clothes off, but then Christian thought about having to tell Daisy about this someday and just couldn't do it, so he stopped it. They both started to just kind of cry in each other's arms. Really, their friendship really solidified at that point. No feelings are there. So then we go back to the present, and Henry starts to ask Parks about all the guys she was with in New York City, which kills BJ. You can see it all over his face, but Parks is very happy to do that. And this is a quote from Christian about that. And BJ, he's as bad as her. They're too good at hurting each other. It's the bad part of loving each other as much as they do. They know how to rip each other to pieces without even trying. Like, oh my gosh. Like, what? So toxic. She ends up mentioning the thing with her and Christian and them making out, which makes both Christian and BJ mad. Christian's like, what the heck, Magnolia? Like, what are you doing? And she's just like, what? We did. And like BJ is fuming, obviously. This is another quote. Park's eyes catch on BJ's, and we all know he knows why she stopped. Like there was ever a question, like there ever is with them, and it hangs there how fucked up it all is. How much she loves him, how much we know he loves her back, and that despite their history and love all our lives and a baby between them, how indescribably frustrating it is that they cannot, for the love of God, pull it the fuck together. She leaves, he stays. I mean, preaching to the choir, Christian. Preaching to the choir. We are all wondering that. Why they can't get their shit together. Christian then decides to leave as well because he doesn't want to put up with everyone's shit. BJ follows him out and he's looking for a fight. He's asking like, why would he do that to him? And this is what Christian has to say to that. Beej, for fuck's sake. I shoved my hands through my hair. I don't know how to get this through your fucking head, but you need to understand that not everything is about you. I give him a curt smile and point back to New York. That wasn't about you. He lets out this growl. She, he shoves me, is always about me. Which, like, y'all need therapy. Y'all need therapy. So bad. So bad. Okay. Now it's chapter 21. It's Christmas Day and Daisy is by herself at the compound. She talks about how her and Tiller had decided that he would go home for Christmas without her. Like they both made that decision and like had good reasons for it out loud, but also like in the back of their mind, it's just like, yeah, it's because we're going to break up. He is spending more and more time after work at the bar with his coworkers and his ex-girlfriend. Daisy went and spied on him one time and it was just super awkward. So Daisy and Julian go to a Christmas service together at church and she's like getting dressed, thinking about Christian, hoping that she'll see him, which she does see him. And they end up inviting both Julian and Daisy to their house for dinner with the whole fam, with his whole family, with Christian's whole family. This is what happens when like they see each other. Merry Christmas. He opens his arms for me and I step into them. He wraps me up and I sink into him and it's bad for me. I forget what it was like to be held by him. I put it out of my mind that it's my favorite feeling on the planet, that there are no arms, not even those of my boyfriend, who I'll remind you that I do love. There are no arms that feel like Christian's arms, like he's just pulled a curtain closed around me and blocked out all the bad. I have this screaming revelation of all I've lost to gain my normal life, and what normal life? That's her feelings. She is simping over Christian the whole way to his house, just wanting to hold his hand, wanting to be around him. She's being real lovesick. It is sweet, but also she has a boyfriend that she apparently loves. When they get there, she's like gushing about the kitchen and he's just watching her. She asks what his favorite present was that he got for Christmas, and he basically says it's like her being there for Christmas. Which another, sweet moment. They have dinner with his family. His father and uncle are there and they're just being the worst. They're asking about her relationship with a cop and with Tiller and like what that's like and like judging her hardcore for it. Also talk about Christian's relationship with Vanna and it just gets really awkward. Her and Christian end up like escaping to his childhood room. They're talking about him growing up there and like his sister dying. They have a moment and they're both like leaning in to kiss each other when her phone rings. And guess who it is? It's Tiller. And he is FaceTiming her to wish her a Merry Christmas. He like asks her, hey, where are you? And she's like, I'm at Christian's house. And he's like, what? I didn't think you were going to be doing that. She was like, yeah. We just like ran into each other and like they invited me and Julian here for dinner. And he's like, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that. And she's like, well, nothing's happening. And then he's like, is Christian there right now? And sure enough, yes, he is. Christian like hops in and he's like, hey man. And you can tell it's super awkward. Tiller is obviously pissed and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna come home right now. And he says at this rate she's going to be kissing him by New Year's Eve. That's just such a wild thing to say to the person that you love, and say it in such a like chill manner. Like, I don't, anyways. So they hang up. Christian offers to drive Daisy home, which I guess means like if he drives her home, that means that like automatically they're gonna go into her house and they're gonna hook up. So like she says no, which I mean they're both disappointed about that, I guess, but also like she doesn't want to cheat on Tiller, which like LOL, bare minimum, right, for this relationship at this point. So chapter 22, it's a few days after Christmas, and Christian is deciding to nurse his broken heart because Tiller and Daisy are back together by going out with Julian and the boys. He has also heard that over Christmas, BJ and Parks have decided to give their relationship a shot. However, as soon as he arrives at the club, Parks and Henry are arguing, and Magnolia, like, he has heard that BJ and her relationship have basically exploded in their faces, and Magnolia is there to see Julian. And like Henry's like, absolutely not, you cannot go see Julian, because Magnolia is trying to get to Julian so then she can hook up with him, because she knows that is going to hurt BJ the most. So that's why she's there. That's what she's trying to do. Christian and Henry try to stop her, but she finds him anyways. Chapter 23, Julian is waiting in Jonah's office for Parks to get there. He's been staring at the text message that he got from her saying that she wants to meet up and basically hook up, and he's like in disbelief over it. So Parks shows up and she's like feigning confidence, but he can see that she has been crying, and this is what she tells him. I told BJ I loved him. He told me he loves me back. Another shallow swallow. He kissed me. He slept with me and told me he was going to break up with his girlfriend. Then we had a fight and he slept with her instead. Y'all, the headache that these people give me sometimes. It's like no smart decisions are being made ever. She's been crying. Like, he can tell that she's been crying. She doesn't want to talk about it anymore. So she just like grabs him and kisses him. And these are the feelings that he is having as that is happening. And kissing her, fuck. I don't know. You ever stand on sinking sand before? When you're by the shore and your feet just melt into the ground? That's what kissing her feels like. So I hold the fucking table tighter. Lose track of time for a bit. He simping hard for Parks, just like everyone else. Basically asking her, like, why him? Why now? All of that. And she tells him it's because she knows that it's going to hurt BJ the most. So they hook up. And this is what Julian says at the end. Now I'm in it. She's hurt. She wants to hurt him back. Happy to help. You're out for blood? I stare over at her. She nods. All right, then. I pull her quickly back towards me. Arms up. Tiges. I don't know how to say that word, so I'm not going to say it. Let's make him bleed. Then we get to chapter 24. Daisy is talking about her and Tiller and how, he came back early for Christmas and how things have been kind of on and off between them since he got back. That they're trying to fix things with sex, but they both know that they need to break up. However, since he ruined his own Christmas to come back and be with her, I guess that's a valid enough excuse for her not to break up with him. She's also back to thinking about Christian when they're together, when they are being intimate together. And this is what she says. I haven't thought of Christian when we've done that in months and months and months, and my mind kept wandering over to the idea of what we might have done if he drove me home. But he didn't, because I didn't let him. So even though I think I'm kind of a shitty person for having to decide not to think of my ex-boyfriend while I'm having sex with my current boyfriend, I tell myself I am not all the way shitty, because even though old habits die hard and Christian Hemmes is a habit I've never wanted dead in the first place, I still didn't when I think I probably could have. Do you want a round of applause for not cheating, Daisy, or do you want to be sent to hell for still like emotionally cheating? I don't know. Again, the bar is on the floor. So anyways, that all happens. Also, Parks is around the compound nonstop now. Ever since Julian and her hooked up, which hasn't been that long ago, but she has not left the compound yet. And Daisy still doesn't like her. She ends up interrupting a meeting that Julian is having, asking him about it. And Julian is very clear that he does not want Parks to leave. Like, he is not going to let go of her. Daisy is yucked out by that. He also ends up seeing the painting that Julian is thinking about stealing, and she can tell that it's a fake. And that freaks out the boys, and they kind of come to the conclusion that someone may be trying to set up Julian. So chapter 25 is Julian's chapter. It's New Year's Eve, and he is talking about how he is falling for Parks. He wouldn't say that he's falling for Parks, but he is. This is what he says. If I'm being honest, I always thought that the second I had her, the spell would wear off. The fascination with her would dissipate into the oblivion of all my other conquests. I was sure that most of her allure was going to dry up and the second we had sex, or would dry up the second we had sex. But we've had it now 3 times that first night. I've lost count how many times since. And here's the part I don't know what to do with. I'm still fucking wrapped with her. Annoyingly so. I mean, I don't know what it is about Parks, man, but she knows how to get the boys and she knows how to keep them. He keeps trying to come up with different excuses to like keep her at the house. And so again, she still hasn't left. She's very happy to go along with it, I think, because she likes being wanted and she hates being alone. He ends up taking her as his date to the New Year's Eve party, which he never takes a date. And so it's very like, wow, Julian, you're taking a person as a date. Who is this girl to you? Like, she must be different for you. And yet he's still trying to be like, no, she's not. So he like tries to treat Parks like he would other girls in the past by like saying things that kind of make her either uncomfortable or kind of throw her off. He tries to like not hook up with other girls in front of her, but like treat her badly by like talking and flirting with other girls in front of her. But then he sees that it hurts her, so like that makes him feel bad, and he's like annoyed by that, but also he wants to fix it. So like he takes her up to his room and they hook up. And so then after that they're talking, and he like is talking about how beautiful she is. Then she says this. People say things like that to me quite often. Like, being beautiful is a personality trait. She glares up at me. I like it when she goes defiant. Like it's all that I am. My eyes pinch, interested. You don't like it? She crosses her arms over her bare chest. I think it makes it easier for people to treat me not like a real person. Fuck. So like that's, I guess, insightful. Pretty privilege still exists, but being treated like a thing instead of a person, which is sad. However, Julian's definitely still like, you know, I don't care. She's still like gorgeous and I like pretty things. And she basically talks about how she thinks BJ uses her looks as a reason to treat her like garbage, because he thinks that her being pretty is like enough to counteract the fact that he treats her like garbage. I don't know. It's a mess. So then Julian wants to like take her back downstairs after that and shove his relationship with her in BJ's face even more. So chapter 26 is Daisy's chapter, and it starts off with Julian bringing Daisy and Tiller coffee in bed, and Tiller is uncomfortable by this, not because he's bringing coffee, but because Julian knows him well enough that he knows his coffee order. And like, he doesn't want to be a part of this world. And so they have another like weird moment, Daisy and Tiller do. And then Tiller just has another lame excuse and dips out. More just like the same of them putting off breaking up. So then Daisy goes off to find Julian, and she finds him in bed with Parks, and Parks is trying her hardest to be best friends with Daisy, but Daisy still hates her, even though she's like annoyingly nice, and you can tell Daisy is like kind of starting to like her. This is an exchange that they have. Parks, this is what she says about her outfit: "You might want to pair that with a strappy sandal instead." And I'd say, "Or I might not," before swearing under my breath, because fuck, she's right. A strappy sandal would really tie this together. God, she's fucking annoying. More annoying is that an hour later, the perfect pair of strappy heels for the outfit is sitting on my bed, new with tags. When in the actual fuck did that idiot have time to run out to Harrods and back? So, like, Daisy's having a hard time liking Parks now. They're getting ready for a party. Daisy and Tiller go to the party. But Daisy was thinking about Christian as she was getting ready again, like thinking of like him seeing her in the outfit. So they're at this party. All of our main players end up going up to this private rooftop bar together. You can tell that Tiller is uncomfortable rubbing elbows with these people. Parks does her best to involve Tiller in the conversation, but again, he's just uncomfortable. He ends up having this lame excuse of wanting to go to bed early. Daisy goes down with him. They have another moment where they're like going to break up. They know that they're going to break up, but again, they don't. This is what Tiller says. He swallows, shaking his head. "Let's not do this right now." "Why?" I ask, sort of liking the friction. "Maybe because it's at least something. Because I'm not ready, Days," he tells me with his eyes that make me stop. His eyes look round and sad, and I remember that before he was my boyfriend, who I fight with constantly because who my family is, maybe even who I am, to him is fundamentally unacceptable. There was a time when Tiller was the man with the bluest eyes on the planet, who for me became a winter coat in the dead of a cold December's night when I was in nothing but a tank top. Just break up. Just break up. Anyways, she ends up staying up. She's like, "I'm gonna go back up to the rooftop bar and hang out." And like, Tiller's like, okay. Like, it's just like, you can tell it's messy. So she goes back up. And then she notices that Christian is by himself up there. And then we move directly into chapter 27. Now it's Christian's perspective, and he also notices that Daisy is by herself. And so they end up grabbing a drink together at the rooftop bar. And they have such a cute and flirty conversation. Again, would be a lot cuter if she wasn't in a relationship. He knows that her and Tiller are on the rocks, and that just makes him so happy. This is their conversation because he's like, "Where's Tiller at?" And this is what she says: "He has an early start. My face falters. I don't mean for it to. It's just she has to know it's an excuse. A piss poor one at that. And who's making up excuses not to spend New Year's with her?" "Don't," she shakes her head. I look at her and she rolls her eyes, amused. "Stop," she shakes her head. "Don't be shit." "Sorry." I do my best to squash a smile, so I look away from her. Hard to keep your smile in check when you're looking at the girl you know. "No, I don't know, Christian. How about you tell her?" Okay. It just seems like he is being like fairly upfront with her during this whole conversation. Calls her his everything and all this stuff. Like, she's talking about like, "Why didn't you bring Vanna? And I wouldn't do that to you." And she's just like, "Well, I'd do it to you." And he says, "Yeah, but I deserve it more than you." I tell her with a shrug. "Mean it too." "Yeah?" She frowns a little. "How do you figure?" "It took me too long to figure out what you are to me." Her eyes pinch as she slides me my drink. "What am I to you?" "Oh, I don't know." I give her a little shrug, stare straight ahead. take a long sip before I look over at her. Like, just everything. She looks rattled, head pulled back and blinking a lot. Also, she's just so flustered by how kind of honest he's being, but also like she doesn't fully get it. And we'll get to that later. And she says, "There is no us," she tells me with this voice that sounds kind of startled and sort of pleased at the same time. So I decide to double down. "For now," I tell her with a smirk. "No," she shakes her head, cheeks going pink, looking flustered. "No, I'm with Tiller." I like riling her up, so I do it some more. "For now." She gives me a look. "Christian." "Daisy." I reach over and push some hair behind her ears. She blinks at me, frozen. "What are you doing?" "Sorry, you're just..." I shake my head and laugh once more, even though none of this is funny to me. So beautiful it hurts. Oh my gosh. He's laying it on thick, Days. How do you not see? Just more being flustered. Christian smiling because he knows she's in denial. She's like, "Okay, you'll stop?" she asks, eyebrows up as she straightens her dress. "That's just fine as is. For now," I tell her with a smirk, and she squashes one back, and I love her. That's it for me. That's all there is. I love her. I need to be with her, actually. I need to figure it out. So, I mean, cute, but also like, yeah, she's got a boyfriend. They also talk a little bit about Julian and Parks, Christian noting that Julian has never acted this way around a girl. That becomes an ongoing theme. They talk a little bit about Tora, Henry, and Jonah and how they're all there together and how Tora has kissed both boys throughout the night. Just awkward, just weird. He tries to like say she's not as bad as like that makes it seem, but it's like, no, it's pretty bad. These boys don't want to be in this throuple. She needs to choose one of them. By the end, once they get done with their drink, Daisy decides to take them to a more private place, and Christian's really excited about that because it's a place only Daisy and Julian know about it, so he feels very special. He still regrets not just kissing her and agreeing to disappear with her all those months ago, and he's like hinting at like, "So what are we gonna do at midnight?" And she's like, "We're not gonna do anything." They agree that once the clock strikes midnight that she will lay her head on his shoulder, and that's all that'll happen, which she does. It's very cute. Christian is so excited and so happy about it, and they end up wishing each other a happy New Year's Eve. So it is cute. Then we get to chapter 28, and it's Julian's chapter, and he is watching Parks get ready in his bathroom, and he's just loving the domestic side of everything. He just keeps on going on and on about how beautiful she is. He's kept her there now for a week, and she's been cool with it. She's like, "Yeah, I'll stay here." He keeps comparing her to like a billion different paintings and artifacts and things. That's just an ongoing thing that he does. It is very cute. He's a poet. Parks is getting ready to go for brunch with the box set boys, and Julian can tell that she's nervous about it because it's the first time she's going to be interacting with BJ alone since everything, and so he offers to go with her, which again, he never does. And she's like, "What? You'll go with me?" And like is shocked about it, but also like very happy about that. So they end up going to brunch. Julian is so happy to shove him and Parks' relationship in BJ's face. Parks loves it, and BJ is quietly fuming about it. They have this moment where Parks is teasing Julian, saying like, "You apologize," and he does, which is like the craziest thing in the world to the rest of the boys. They're like, "Whoa, how good in bed are you, Parks, that you're making this guy apologize?" And then Julian has like the weirdest comment in his head. This is what's going on. So Julian apologizes. He's like, "I'm joking, Tars. I'm sorry." Then follows a silence. Christian cocks an eyebrow. Jonah smiles, confused, and Tora sits back in her chair, arms crossed over her, staring at Magnolia. "Holy shit. How good in bed are you?" "I've had better," is the honest-to-God answer, and still, she's probably my favorite. Like what a weird thing to say. I've had better, but she's my favorite. Like we don't gotta do that, but okay. Julian ends up getting a call from the Lost Boys, and apparently they have lost sight of Ezra Brown, the bad guy from the first book who he stole his kids. That's a setback. I don't know why, but it is. Now we get chapter 29. A few weeks have passed since the New Year's Eve party, and Daisy and Tiller are hanging out. They get into just another argument about the same old thing about being from different worlds. This is part of their argument. Tiller says, "You ran away from him, Daisy, for 8 months, and then this tumbles out of my mouth without my coherent permission. And they were the loneliest 8 months of my life." That's like a slap for Tiller. I can tell with how his face goes. Then he's all silent for a minute, like I pulled the rug out from under him. Obviously, things have to end. However, now the reason why Daisy won't break up with him was because he basically brought her a coffee on Valentine's Day, like last Valentine's Day. I know that we're being stupid. Yes, you are. And I know one of us should just make the call because it needs to be made. But every time I think about doing it, I think about the morning after our Valentine's Day date, when he snuck out of my bed to go downstairs to buy me a coffee, and I didn't hear him sneak out, but I heard him sneak in, because someone sneaking into my house are the sorts of sounds I've been trained to listen out for. So I hid behind a wall, hit him over the head with a medical textbook, and the coffees went flying everywhere, and he fell to the ground, and I dropped to my knees, half in shock, half laughing, and he had such a big lump, and even still he laughed, and he pulled me into his lap, holding his head with his free hand, and he kissed me and said, "You don't have to do shit like that anymore, Days." And for some reason, that was one of the most romantic things anyone had ever said to me. Guys, come on. So after that, they do kiss. They work it out. Tiller goes to work again. They both know it's an excuse, but it happens. Daisy wanders around the compound. She runs into Parks. She's still annoyed and doesn't hide the fact that she is annoyed by Parks. But she, again, is starting to like her more. Parks and her end up bonding over a bottle of wine and get drunk. They briefly talk about the fact that Christian was in love with Parks. This is what Parks says, that Christian loved me still. Her mouth goes pouty, and I can see more bubbling up for the surface, like she's wrestling with herself. Sort of. Like saying that she sort of knew, but also didn't know. I give her an unimpressed look. What? I mean, maybe I did, she shrugs. No, on some level. Oh, you mean like the obvious one? No, she scowls at me a little bit, like I'm sinning against her by not following along with her incessant babble. On the one where acknowledging that he still loved me meant acknowledging that he treated me special, and I didn't want it to stop. Because when it did, I felt alone, and I don't like being alone. They're bonding, though. Julian and Christian find them. Christian has a moment of taking care of Parks, which Daisy sees, and obviously those old feelings of jealousy bubble up, so she's leaving. However, she falls, hurts her ankle, and Christian carries her to bed, takes care of her, while Parks and Julian are over there just smirking at him, being like, "We know you two love each other." Christian takes care of her ankle. He asks about Tiller. Daisy tells him that Tiller is avoiding her and that she thinks it's because Tiller thinks she's not good enough for him, which Christian then says is bullshit. And by the end of it, she asks Christian if he'll just stay, and so he does. And they just sleep in the same bed. They don't like sleep together, but they sleep in the same bed. Then we go to chapter 30, and it's short. It's basically Christian breaking up with Vanna because he's trying to do the right thing by Daisy. And so this is him talking to Vanna, breaking up with her. What she says is, "Why do I feel like shit?" Because I am shit, Vans. I don't call you. I don't think of you. I think of her all the time, and I don't want to feel guilty for that, but I do. And I don't know how to stop. So something's got to give, and I'm not giving her up. I shrug, a bit helpless. So, I mean, at least there's that. Chapter 31, and it's from Julian's perspective, and we just get a few more instances of him crushing hard on Parks. We get this first instance where the Lost Boys are kind of talking to Julian about it and being like, hey, so you've had her around for a while now. Is there anything we should know? And he's like, nope, in complete denial. And they're like, yeah, sure. You've never treated a girl like this before. There's definitely something going on. And he's like, nope, nothing's going on. And it's like, okay. Then they go to a club together, Julian and Parks. BJ's there, so he gives Parks and BJ a moment, and he just sees how Parks is looking at BJ, and it makes him feel a certain type of way. He ends up doing drugs with Jonah, and Jonah tells him this: I'm serious, Jules. He gave me a look, and I give him one back. She'll pull you in till she makes you fall in love with her. And you know what? He shrugs. She might even fall in love with you, but not how she loves him. He goes back out after doing drugs, getting this revelation from Jonah that we all know, and decides to try and kind of like make out, feel up, hook up with a girl to piss off Parks, which Parks then sees this and it hurts her, and she's just like, hey, she has like this whole speech that's supposed to be like a mic drop moment, and she's like, hey, if you're gonna make out with girls that are less attractive than me, please don't do it in public. Do it in private, because in public, when we're in public together, your eyes are only for me. And like, Julian loves that, I guess, even though like this poor girl, she didn't do anything. Again, very pick me. It's supposed to come off really badass, but like, it's, to me, it's not. It just sounds dumb and toxic. Julian likes it though, loves it. They leave together, they hook up. A few hours later, she comes in and interrupts another one of Julian's meetings because they're like supposed to go get dinner together. Julian really can't put off what he's working on. However, he sees how much it disappoints Parks, and he doesn't like to disappoint her. So he's like, no, I'll make it work. And so takes her to dinner, and like Koa sees this and he's like, dude, you like her, you're in love with her. And he's still denial, because they all deny when they're in love with someone. Don't know why. Chapter 32 is finally the beginning of Daisy and Tiller ending. So she has spotted that he accidentally left his badge at home, so she goes to his work to drop it off for him, and she overhears Tiller having a conversation with his ex about her, and like his ex is like saying all these really mean things about her, being like she's a criminal, she's not worth it, she's trash, and she's like waiting to hear Tiller stick up for her, but he doesn't. Her heart finally broken, shut down, doesn't like Tiller, so she's creates this plan. She heads to the cop bar that she knows Tiller is going to go to. She calls Christian to join her there, and yikes. Now we get into chapter 33, and it's Julian. He's working in his office, and his longtime fuck buddy comes in, Josette. Taylor's oldest time. They're doing the thing. She's coming in to hook up with him, whatever. They're kissing, touching, whatever. However, the entire time, Julian is thinking about Parks. This is what is going on in his head, and it's a lot. Josette all over my body, Magnolia all over my mind, me trying to convince myself all of it means nothing, and it's just Jonah's fucking fault, getting in my head, saying I'll fall in love with her and shit. I mean, he's in love with her. What? Anyways, he hates it that he's thinking about Parks while he's with Josette. He doesn't understand that he's in love with her. Anyways, Parks shows up while they're hooking up. She, taken aback by this, leaves. Julian then chases after her, basically begs her to stay. She acts all clueless about the fact that he's ending a long-term relationship, cutting off a long-term thing with someone for her. And so they're both just like acting very clueless with each other and trying to act really chill, but it's not chill. He breaks it off with Josette, She takes it not very well, ends up slapping him. Again, it's more of just like, you've never acted like this with another girl, blah, 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 blah. She leaves. Parks freaks out, seeing him with like a bloody lip, fixes him up, and they're all basically lovey-dovey with each other again without really saying it. It's very dumb. Then we get to chapter 34 and we are reconnecting with Daisy. Christian meets Daisy at the cop bar like he asked, and he knows that something is up, and because they're meeting at this bar, Daisy sees that Tiller comes in, and so she asks Christian to kiss her, which he happily does it. Here's what's going on. Then he swallows heavy, brushes his mouth over mine, and my eyes close without a second thought, because even considering all the circumstances, I just want to swim in this for a second, bask in the glory of his mouth against mine. And I remember in this split second, the first time we did this, that night forever ago, when he kissed me. I felt like this stupid floaty feeling, like how those NASA pictures look of the galaxies with the space dust all pink and purple and stars and planets. That's kissing Christian Haites, even if none of it's real. Which, again, I don't understand why she doesn't think it's real for him. Tiller sees this. He approaches. They get into a fight, of course. It gets really dramatic. I don't know why. I don't remember why, at least. But Daisy pulls Tiller's gun on him and, like, points it in his face. And, like, all the other cops are, like, pointing guns at him. And then Christian's pointing guns at people. And, like, Miguel is there pointing guns. And so, like, everyone's pointing guns at everyone. And Daisy's like, okay, yeah, we're done. And Tiller's like, yeah, duh, obviously we're done. They are finally broken up. Finally. And it obviously ends bad. Jeez. Christian then asks to drive Daisy home, which she agrees. She invites him inside, and he acts like it's not a good idea because he doesn't want to just be her rebound, which then just confuses Daisy. She's just like, fine, you only want me when I'm with someone. And he's like, that's not the case. She starts to go away, and he's like, fuck it, and kisses her. And then it just alludes to them hooking up right against the car. At least they're together now. However, Daisy still doesn't understand that he's in love with her. Like, she still, like, just doesn't think that he loves her. She just thinks that they're just hooking up because he likes sex. And it's just like, he's said that she's everything to him. So, like, I don't understand these people. Then we move into chapter 35, and Christian is with Daisy. He is over the moon about it. It's 2 a.m. of the same day of them finally getting back together. He decides he's going to go down into the wine cellar and grab her favorite bottle of red wine. And on his way back to her room, he runs into Magnolia in the hallway. And it's kind of a hilarious exchange. Like, it's very much like a sibling exchange. This is how it goes. Magnolia pauses. Hold on. She stares at my lower body for a few seconds. Worth noting that I am just in my boxer briefs. Wait, are you in? She, Magnolia Parks, my boundary-less childhood friend, reaches down and plucks the band of my Calvins before gasping dramatically. J'accuse! She points at me like the idiot she is. Shut up, I growl. Oh my God, she whispers. Because she's like, you're back together with Daisy. And so, like, obviously she's very excited. They're, like, having this argument. Daisy and Julian find them in the hallway fighting because Magnolia is being like, you should just tell her how you feel. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And it's just so dumb. Daisy isn't a huge fan of them, like, chatting in the hallway. Of course not. However, once they're alone, Christian decides to tell Daisy about him and Magnolia almost hooking up in New York City, just so then she knows, which of course she's not a huge fan of, but it makes her feel better, the fact that Christian is the one that stopped it and, like, they didn't take it any further. Christian ends up saying that he doesn't care what Daisy wants with him, just as long as he can continue basically being around her. So he's just so lovesick. I mean, I don't understand how Daisy doesn't get it. Then we go into chapter 36, and Daisy is now recounting her breakup and sleeping with Christian to Jack, her best friend. Jack, of course, freaks out because she loves Christian, while Daisy is acting like she doesn't and can't love him. This is what she says. I can't love him again, I tell him quietly. He leans across the table and takes my hand. Well, therein lies the problem, Days. You never stopped. I drop my head back and stare at the ceiling. Romeo then shows up. He also finds out that she broke up with Tiller and that she slept with Christian, which again causes like their weird toxic relationship thing that they do. And like he's kind of jealous and she's kind of jealous, and like they're throwing each other's relationships in each other's faces. This is what Romeo says: dating, he clarifies, just to hurt me back, and it works. It'll always work. I can be not in love with Romeo anymore and still love him. I can be past him and still find it completely unnatural to think of him dating anyone else besides me. He's just a bit of a trick knee for me. Always will be. Y'all need to go to therapy. The whole conversation ends being kind of fine and kind of not a big deal, so whatever. Then we have chapter 37, and Christian is at brunch with the boys from the box set. It just seems like they're always getting brunch together or going to dinner. Like that's just what this book is about, them going out all the time. Which all the boys freak out for him. They are so excited. BJ also asks about Parks, and it starts this really strained conversation that she and Jules are actually like really good together, but also that she'll never obviously be in love with Julian the same way that she's in love with BJ. However, her being with Julian still hurts BJ, so you know, whatever. Toxic. Then we get to chapter 39, and it's been over a month since Julian and Parks have started their relationship. They are currently at dinner together. It's lovely. Julian just wants to be close to her, like pulls her chair closer. They're talking about their arrangement and how, I guess, happy and good they are with it. But then the lights go out. The lights in the restaurant suddenly cut out, and Julian quickly pulls Parks under the table, protecting her, laying on top of her, thinking that, you know, they're going to be attacked. He quickly hands Parks over to one of his boys, gets her to the car. He checks around, finds out that everything's fine. Parks is obviously shaken by it. Julian is stressed about it because it's a false alarm. And Parks is asking him, like, do you have PTSD? Are you okay? Which sets him off. He gets so mad about that, mainly because, like, A, he's terrified of the idea of Parks getting hurt, and so he's in denial about that, and then also her just being so nice to him, he just doesn't know how to deal. He gets mad, goes cold, and basically ends it with her, which confuses Magnolia. She's like, what the heck is going on? And then she's, like, super hurt. He demands that the driver drop her off at home. They do. He goes back home, doesn't look back. He's freaking out, but the boys are telling him he's an idiot, and he knows it. But, I mean, it's the first time he's ever had to deal with something like this in a long time. So, again, feelings. Then we get to chapter 39, and Christian's brother Jonah is throwing a party that everyone's invited to, of course. So it's from Christian's perspective. It's kind of awkward now that Magnolia and Julian have broken up. And so Magnolia asks both Henry and Christian to come over to get ready together because she just can't be alone. And she's really struggling. And it's not just because of BJ this time. It's also because of Julian, which kind of surprises them. Her sister at one point tries to like get her to stay home. And it's just kind of like this hilarious moment. This is what happens. Magnolia's sister says, do you think that perhaps instead of going out tonight and seeking validation from different men because you feel rejected by the two boys you are romantically interested in, you could stay at home and work on processing those emotions? Magnolia stares over at her sister for a few seconds, blinks twice, then erupts into laughter. You're so funny, Bridge. I needed that. Thank you. She bounces out the door, and Henry and Bridget exchange wary glances. I mean, yeah, work. So they go to the party. Christian is so excited to see Daisy. He seeks her out, and it's so easy and casual between them, and he loves it. Julian is with them. And one of his friends makes a comment about testing out Magnolia now that she's single, which throws Julian off into a tizzy. He starts to fight his friend, Magnolia then does that thing where like a girl will get in between the fight and be like, look at me, stop. And like it works. And like he looks at her and then he carries her off to kiss her and make up with her, basically. It's so dramatic. And then after all of that, Daisy and Christian are like, well, that was weird. And so then they just end up going to Jonah's office to basically hook up. So now we get to chapter 40, and it's a few days after that whole debacle, and Julian is in his office thinking about the other night and how intense he is feeling about Parks. They're kind of back together. This is how he's feeling, and I know that what that means. She's climbed over the wall and into my fucking heart somehow, but it's fine because I know what I am to her. I'm the buoy she's clinging onto while she waits for the ship she fell off to come back and get her. Happy to be clung to, I suppose. So sad. At this point, you really feel for Julian because he knows that he's not the one, but like he is, Magnolia isn't around tonight because it's BJ's birthday party and he wasn't invited. And he knew he wasn't going to be invited. However, Parks shows up crying because BJ uninvited her to his birthday party. And that crushes her. They end up hooking up. While they're hooking up, they're knocking over all these priceless artifacts and things. And afterwards, they kind of talk about BJ and... Again, a common theme in this book. Julian says to her, you think of him when you're with me. I tell her, it's not a question. I already know it's true. Just sometimes she peers up at me, looking embarrassed. I try not to. I give her a small shrug. I can tell when you do. Oh, her eyes sort of go glassy, and I don't know why. Sorry. What is up with these people thinking about other people while they're being intimate with someone else? You guys, we need to work on that. And so Parks basically tells Julian to never fall in love because it's the worst and takes over your every thought. This is his response. I sniff, give her a tiny smile as I push her hair behind her ears. In another life, I reckon I could have loved you, I tell her. She gives me a little smile back. In another life, I would have let you. Never you mind that I already love her in this one. Guys, it's so sad. He's definitely still already in love with her. For some reason, Magnolia doesn't see it. What is up with these girls not seeing what's right in front of their face? Come on. Also, BJ's not that great. Just be with Julian. We get to chapter 41, and Christian invites Daisy to go to BJ's birthday party. They act very coupley. However, she's still confused about whether or not they are in a relationship or if they're back to being fuck buddies, which I don't understand how. She doesn't get it, but she doesn't. They go home and they walk in on Magnolia and Julian being together, and it's a little bit comical. They get onto the topic of whether or not Julian and Magnolia are back together, which then Magnolia deflects to talk about Christian and Daisy's relationship, which she then spills the beans about Christian kind of sort of being in love with Daisy, which shocks Daisy, and Christian even doesn't understand how it could possibly shock her. This is what he says. Christian takes a step towards me. There was nothing to conclude, Days. I was pretty clear. I square my shoulders a bit, straightening up. Not that clear. Okay. He nods once, then ducks a little, so we're eye to eye. Let me be clear now then, Daisy. He gives me a tall look. I'm fucked up in love with you. Have never stopped loving you since the second I realized I did, and I admit it. It took me too long to know it, but I know it now. And I can't unknow it. I don't want to unknow it. I want to be with you, he tells me, not looking away once, and I'll do whatever I need to make us work. You want me to leave London with you? Great, I'm in. So he's ready to go. Makes Daisy very happy, and also she ends up telling him also that she's in love with him. I roll my eyes at him. Just kiss me already. Just say you love me back first, he says very loudly. I stare up at him. Can't believe that this is real life. I swallow once. I love you back. His face cracks into the best smile I've ever seen and will ever see, because his face is Fuck the Mona Lisa, screw the Last Supper, never think of Michelangelo's David again. They all pale compared to him in front of me. Which is very cute. So they make love and they're so happy together. Finally. Then we go to chapter 42 and Christian and Daisy go have breakfast with Henry and Tora, and they basically tell them that they are together. Here are Christian's words. You and me are 100% together, Days. I give her a look. Boyfriend, girlfriend, life partners, mi familia es tu familia. I shrug like she's an idiot. Call it whatever the fuck you want, Days. I don't care. So he's like, we're in it. And Henry, the biggest simp for this relationship, is over the moon. He absolutely loves that they're together. Also, the entire crew is planning a trip to go to Italy. These people, they love to take their vacations. Everyone's going, so there's definitely going to be a little bit of drama. Also, the weird situationship between Tora, Jonah, and Henry is starting to come to a head. She's got to make a decision, babe. It's got to happen. Then we get chapter 43. The crew is in Italy, and Daisy and a few of the others are staying in her childhood home. And while she's there, she's thinking of this past thing that happened when she was younger in the house, where her mother ended up leaving her in the care of the house gardener so then she could go off and spend time with like her boy toy lover. And while she's being watched by the gardener, the gardener touches her. And so she runs off, she hides. Julian finds her later. She ends up telling Julian and her father about the gardener touching her. So the father shoots the gardener straight in the face, then points a gun at her mother and is like, what the F is wrong with you? And her mother is like looking at Daisy like she's the worst thing, like that it's all her fault. And so we just get insight into Daisy's fucked up relationship with her mom. And we go back to present day, and Magnolia walks in, and her and Daisy basically have this heart-to-heart talking about how her parents died. Daisy talking about how her parents died, and then Magnolia tells Daisy about how she lost BJ and her's baby, and how it was something that she had always known that it's not her fault, but felt like it was her fault anyways, just because she had an eating disorder and that aided in her losing the baby. And even though it's not true that it's her fault, she still feels like it. It's nice. They have a nice heart-to-heart. It's good. So then we get to chapter 44. They're still in Italy, and it's driving Julian absolutely nuts seeing Parks and BJ together on this trip. He even punches a wall. Yeah, he's in love with her, basically. He also gets a call from his aunt from his mom's side while he's there to like come and have dinner with him. And so he goes, and he has a terrible relationship with them because they hate Daisy, because his mom hated Daisy. Also, this side of the family comes from a very powerful, dangerous family. And so while they're talking, his aunt mentions Magnolia Parks and him being with her all the time. And so he's freaking out because he takes that as a threat to Magnolia. And basically is like, no. She's already got a boyfriend. It's BJ. We're just fuck buddies and it's no big deal. But it's enough to freak Julian out and for him to know that now Magnolia Parks is on these dangerous people's radar because of him. So it freaks him out. Then we get to chapter 45. The crew is back from Italy, and Christian takes Daisy home with him again because his mom really wants to see her. So they all have family dinner again. However, things are still super strained because his uncle and father are there, and like they're, I don't know, trying to like stir up shit by talking about Daisy and her past relationship with Tiller, and Christian and his past relationship with Vanna. It doesn't really work, but it's just kind of like, what are you doing? Then we also have Jonah, and you can tell that he is struggle bussin' because of everything going on with Tora and Henry. And it's very clear that Tora is probably going to pick Henry, but Jonah's in denial, and also like she still hasn't picked. And so it's just It's a mess. Toxic, these people. Then we get to chapter 46, and Julian is feeling some type of way after everything in Italy. Since he's come back, he's tried to like hook up with other girls, but just feels sick trying to do it. And so he just can't. He had promised before going to Italy that he would have dinner with Magnolia's family. And so they go and they do that. You get the sense that Magnolia's family is a bit of a mess. And while they're all together, Magnolia accidentally says that her and Julian are together, which she later apologizes for because she knows that he doesn't do dating, which he gets then mad about because, like, yeah, he doesn't do dating. However, he's in love with Magnolia, so he would also like love to be dating her, but also can't because it's really dangerous. And so they end up hooking up. He's like super frustrated while it's happening and like asks her to think of BJ while they're hooking up. Like, it's toxic. This is what happens. She blinks, confused. Why? I stare down at her, holding her face, because this is what we do. And then I kiss her again, and don't you dare fucking think of me. She sniffs, confused, as I lay her down on her bed. I'll do my best. We're not together. This feels like a mixed message, she responds. I give her a look, make sure she knows I'm serious. You love him. I love no one. Yeah? I'm lying through my fucking teeth, but I am serious. Okay. She shrugs, confused. I wrap my arms around her. Okay. Sad and also like, what is happening? Then we get chapter 47 and Daisy confronts Julian about his feelings for Parks and also like tells him about the baby that Parks had with BJ, which he already knows about. He already knows everything about her, and for him it changes nothing, which just makes Daisy's heart hurt even more for her brother, and like tries to convince him like, hey, maybe you guys could be happy together, but Julian's just like, there's no possible way. And so this is the conversation that they have. Doesn't change shit because you love her. His jaw juts out, pushes the tip of his tongue into his top lip, says nothing. I'm sorry, I tell him, and I mean it. Don't be. He shakes his head. I got to fall in love with her for a minute. Tick that off the bucket list. I roll my eyes at him. You know we can't be together. He gives me a look. But why not? I shake my head. She likes you. I know she does. I can tell in how she looks at you, how she is around you. I know, he nods quickly. I think I know, anyway. But even if she does, she loves him more. He gives me a little shrug. It's better that way. Is it? I frown. Just sad. Then we get chapter 48, and Christian and Daisy go out with the whole crew, and everyone is acting normal. BJ and Magnolia are back to acting weird for two people who aren't together. All touchy-feely and weird. Daisy feels some type of way about it, talking to Christian about how she thinks Parks and Julian could be really happy together, but Christian knows that it'll never stand up against how she feels for BJ, and so just it won't happen. Christian then notices Julian gets a call while they're all out together and can tell that it's bad news. And so he has a private conversation with Julian and Jonah to find out what's going on. And apparently, or the brother of the guy that Daisy killed in the first book, that she accidentally killed in the first book, is coming to London. And so he's either coming to London to kill Daisy or to hurt Parks. And so they're trying to figure out what to do. And so Christian ends up taking Daisy back home, doesn't tell her about what's going on, tries to act like everything's completely normal, and then Jonah keeps an eye on Magnolia by staying with Tara, who is staying with Magnolia. And then Julian's just freaking out. So then we get chapter 49, and in the following days, Julian kisses other girls in public to try and do like damage control, to try and throw people off the scent of him seeing Magnolia. He ends up inviting over all of the other gang lords for a little meeting about helping him out with this other gang threat, and Magnolia barges in during this meeting, just completely unaware of what's going on, and somehow charms all these dangerous men and also styles them, like takes their measurements and like buys them clothes and things. I don't know. Later that night, Tiller shows up and tells Julian about the guy coming to London. And Julian's like, yeah, I already know. And Tiller's like, if you guys need help with anything or need anything from me, let me know. Because they are united on keeping Daisy safe. So then we get to chapter 50, and Daisy, Christian, and Parks, and Julian all go out shopping and some other places together, and the paparazzi are just following them around. I guess that this is something that happens. The paparazzi follows around the box set boys and also are just in love with covering anything that Magnolia Parks does. They end up somewhere at some bar. Of course they do. Magnolia and Daisy end up going to the bathroom together. Daisy asks Magnolia what it's like to be as pretty, or Daisy asks Magnolia what it's like to be as pretty as her, and she's like, it's just my eyes. That's why people think I'm so pretty, and that's why I don't wear sunglasses. She's like, you're just as pretty as me. People just think I'm super pretty because of my eyes, which LOL. What is that? They go back out to join the boys, and they find Vanna there getting all close and cozy with Christian. She's being the worst. She's flirting with Christian, flaunting their past relationship. Meanwhile, everyone is belittling her and just talking shit and being like, go away. And she's just like, Christian still wants me. And I'm just like, Vanna, like, what? See, scenes like that I never understood how a person wouldn't be able to notice, like, hey, no one wants you around. So anyways, Vanna leaves though, and it ends. Magnolia is just being silly. So chapter 51, and it's been a week since everything, and it's been pretty quiet. So Julian decides to take Parks out for dinner that night. He's like, you know what, fuck it, to my aunt. She's not going to do anything. So takes her out to dinner, and they're talking, and she asks about Daisy and Christian and is so happy for them, which just makes Julian love her even more. Here's a beautiful quote from him, just simping about her. She is the goddess in the Botticelli clamshell. Her eyes are the water lilies in Monet's pond. She is the hand of God reaching down to mankind. Clement's kiss is a portrait of us, and I'm going to steal it. Take it. Make it mine. Make her mine too. Maybe do that one first. I'm going to tell her. We can do this. We'll figure it out. I push back from the table, standing quickly. Because he's going to go to the bathroom, even though, like, he's just decided, like, hey, I want to give this a shot, but let me go to the bathroom first. So he goes to the bathroom, and when he comes back, effing Ezra Brown is there. The bad guy from the first one, yeah, he's there. And he's chilling, and he's sitting with Magnolia, acting like a big shot, and Julian walks up, and he's like, what the F? And Magnolia is completely oblivious to what is happening. And Julian is just like, yeah, this is just my fuck buddy, Magnolia. Obviously, Ezra can see right through it. It's so awkward and uncomfortable. Julian grabs Parks, gets her out of there. On their way home, Magnolia is just trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And Julian is just like, that's a nobody. He's a weirdo. We don't like him. Julian knows that he has to let her go and that it's time to let her go, even though he loves her. And this is what he says after it all. It's the great undoing of my heart as I know it. She's made herself at home, kicked off those fucking cerulean heels, put her feet up on my left rib. Over the mantelpiece she hung her own portrait up herself. That little minx. Best painting I've ever seen, too. Better than any woman anyone has ever painted in the history of time. A face I'd win battles for. A face I'd lose anything for. Even her. Honestly, so sad. Then we get to chapter 52, and Christian takes Daisy to a charity gala that his mom has put on, and she puts on every single year. And Christian is just being super sweet about it, and they're just having like cute, lovey moments. This is all from his perspective. I shake my head at her. I'm in love with you. Oh, she smiles, pleased with herself. All right, no. Jonah says, walking up behind us, standing between us. I'm going to need all this eye-batting love bullshit to simmer down for the evening. So anyways, Jonah is getting drunk. As you can tell from that, he's getting drunk because of the mess with Tora. And Christian's dad ends up showing up, and it's supposed to be this like cute kind of thing where Christian's mom is like, what are you doing here? And he's like, oh, isn't this like the thing that you like put a lot of time and effort into? And like, I thought that I would be here. And like, you can kind of get the sense that he is starting to put in effort for his wife and trying to rekindle their relationship. And Daisy is eating it up. Like, she loves this. Like, she's trying to like parent trap the crap out of this. And Christian is like kind of laughing at her, telling her to like settle down a little bit. They get to the point where they're eating, and Daisy asks them both how they met. And Christian's mom starts to tell the story, and his dad interrupts, being like, that's not where we met. And his mom is like, oh, you haven't been around for 15 years. You think that you would remember how we met over me? And then he goes into the story, and he's like right about it. It's like one of those like kind of sweet moments where like she's just like, oh, he does remember. And he was like, yeah, I would never forget anything about you. And it's like pretty cute. The dinner afterwards is done, and that's when the dad asked like, so when is dinner being served? And like the mom is like, that was dinner. And he was like, oh yes, like the portions were good sized portions. And like everyone's kind of laughing because like they also agree like they're still hungry. And so like when they're leaving, he's like, so who wants to go get McDonald's? And everyone's like, yeah, I would like to go get McDonald's. And so like it's kind of like a happy moment. Like it makes his mom laugh. Like it's them kind of being a family again. Christian is smiling at her and like says something a little bit like, you're a little bit magic, aren't you, Daisy Haites? And it's just, I don't know, it's just cute. And now we get to chapter 53, and Julian has everything planned of how he's gonna break up with Magnolia. He's gonna make a big thing of it. It's gonna be a whole show. And so he takes Magnolia to the club and like kisses her one last time before they go in, and then he hands her over to BJ for them to go get a drink together. He then goes and joins Jonah in Jonah's office and brings in a few girls. He starts messing around with one of them, is feeling sick the whole time, and then Magnolia and BJ barge in just like he planned, and BJ is super pissed and Magnolia is like super hurt. She's very confused. BJ and Julian start physically fighting each other, and Magnolia is like sobbing. She's crying. She's yelling for help. The rest of the box set boys come in and like break it up. Julian yells at Magnolia, telling her that they were only ever fuck buddies and nothing more, like really going in, being very, very cruel, which of course hurts Parks. Jonah ends up taking her home, and Julian starts wallowing because he knows he's just lost the girl that he loves. And so this is what he says at the very end: punch a mirror, tip a bookcase over, scream into my hands because I miss her and I already don't want this. But it's done now. She's safe. I stare at my bloody hands, trembling again, find Jonah's Coke, do too much, then I walk back out to find that girl. Yikes. We go directly into the next morning with chapter 54, and Julian did end up bringing both of the girls home. He's just waking up after like a crazy bender when Parks barges in, and they have one last conversation where he basically tells her that he had it all planned out. He finds out later on that BJ then goes over to Parks' place basically to console her. So like BJ and Parks are like kind of back together, and so he's saying like, I knew that this would happen, I had planned it, and I really did it all for you so then you and BJ could be back together. This is what she does or says. She squints over at me. Did you really do that for me, or is this just a merry coincidence? You know what? I'm embarrassed to say that I've fallen into the ranks of men who find that there's very little that they wouldn't do for you. Her face softens. How I wish it wouldn't. She thanks him. It's very bittersweet. He's so sad, and she's sad, but also very hopeful about things with BJ. They're officially over, but all on good terms, saying basically like, if you ever need anything from me, call me. This is what she says before leaving. She turns and walks away, pausing at my door to turn back and stare at me. You are a very dangerous man, Julian. I know that, but I do hope that you know that above that and before that, you really are actually quite a good man. Fuck me dead and write that on my tombstone then. I flick her an edge of a smile. See ya. After Parks leaves, Daisy comes in to comfort him and like let him know that she's there for him, but he's obviously wasted and sad and says that he's fine even though he's not. Oh boy. And then we get to chapter 55 and Daisy is really worried about Julian. He's coping with sex with tons of girls. Must be a Haites family trait. She ends up making him a meal, and while she's doing that, she notices that all the lost boys kind of go quiet around her and are acting weird, and so she asks what's going on, and that's when she finds out that a sex tape of Christian and Vanna has been released and is now everywhere. And she at first thinks that like, oh, did he cheat on her? But the guys are like, no, he definitely didn't cheat on you. His hair is different in the video. Like, also, he would never cheat on her. She asked to see it, and the boys are like, no, you definitely shouldn't watch it. Romeo is the one that ends up giving her his phone, so she watches it. She watches the whole stupid thing and is crushed by it. Of course she is. She's like noticing all the things that he does with her versus with Vanna, and like she's pissed off. She doesn't want to see him, but Julian shows up and is like, no, you should definitely go over and talk to him. So he takes her over to talk to Christian, and Christian is like acting really chill about it and like a little bit embarrassed. Daisy doesn't understand that because like she's just really pissed about it, so like she gets even more pissed, which just confuses Christian because it wasn't while they were together, and like saying like, hey, I'm not mad about you and Tiller. And so that again, that just sets her off even more, and she starts sending him pictures of her with Tiller and her with Romeo, not like sexual ones, but like of them like just being together and being in love, which of course sets him off. And this is how that chapter ends. Christian glares over at me, teeth gritted. Why do you still have these? I breathe in and out of my nose. Do you still have a copy of your sex tape? I ask calmly. His jaw juts out. Fuck yourself, I tell him, and then I leave. Then we get the next chapter, chapter 56, and Julian is going through it. It's been about 2 weeks since him and Parks split up, and he refuses to come up for air or to look at the papers to see that BJ and Magnolia are in fact back together. He just keeps having girls come in all the time, just having sex constantly. And I guess these girls are also like asking about Magnolia and being like, so did you date Magnolia? What's she like? Is she super funny? Is she as stylish? And it's like, girls, what? So he's in the midst of a tryst when Koa comes in, and they have a little chat, and Koa's basically trying to be like, hey, you need to open up, you need to process this stuff. Julian is basically like, no, go away. And this is what he says. What's on the other side, Koa? I ask with a shrug. I love a girl. I can't be with her. I can't be with anyone. I point back to my office door with the girl behind it. That's what I've got. This is for me. So fuck off with your judgment and your reckoning. I don't want to reconcile shit. I back away from him. I'm good, I tell him, even though we both know I'm not. Poor Julian. And then we get into chapter 57, and we've got Christian, and he's at breakfast with the boys, and he's telling them about the fight with Daisy, and BJ tells him that he should go over and talk to her. So he does. He gets to the compound, goes into Daisy's room, and he is floored by what he sees, which is Daisy and Romeo in bed, not sexually. They're both just like chilling on the bed, fully clothed, nothing happening. But man, does that piss him off. A lot of that has to do because last time they got into a fight, you remember, her and Romeo went into a dark place and were just having sex constantly for 2 weeks. So of course he's gonna be pissed about that. So he's pissed, she's still pissed. They fight, and oh boy, it is bad. Let me read you some of the shit that they say to each other. So this is Daisy. "You are in love with Magnolia," she yells. "He's my oldest friend. Are you telling me that you can't see how fucking hypocritical you are? Angry at me for something I did when we were broken up, when you're here with him in your bed that you used to actually fuck him in?" "Nothing happened," Romeo says, standing behind her. I give him a steep look. "Oi, I'm trying to have a private conversation with my girlfriend. Do you want to go get back into her bed and wait for her to be done out here with me?" I nod my head back towards her room. "That's your thing, right?" Daisy scowls at me. "Fuck you." I point at Romeo. "Nah, maybe you should fuck him." And then I turn and leave. I regret saying that. Immediately I regret it. My first thought is I want to get even. I want to do something that's going to make her feel how I feel. And then something kicks in my stomach and I know that's not true. I don't want to make her feel how I feel, even if a bit of me does. And then at the very end he says, "Do you know what it's like to love someone who always has a fallback guy? A tug back towards someone who isn't you? It fucks you up. It's fucked me up before. It'll fuck me up now. It already has." Rough. Then we have chapter 58. A few days have passed since the fight with Daisy and Christian, and Daisy is still stewing over everything. She does feel bad about their fight, but also is like very mad because Christian didn't respond how she wanted him to about the sex tape. Then Magnolia shows up at the compound to talk to her. They have this moment I find kind of comical because it seems like this becomes a thing that everyone is like super impressed with Christian's prowess in the bedroom. And so this is what Magnolia says. "Well," she smiles brightly, "what a week." I roll my eyes. "Firstly, can I just say congratulations? Truly, Mazel Tov." I blink 1,000 times. "What?" "Despite the ever-enduring rumors amongst our friends that Christian and I had sex, we truly did not. And it seems as though he's rather spectacular at it. So, well done, you." I give her a dark look. "Not the time? Right, okay. Well, that's fine." She clears her throat. She goes in then trying to explain to Daisy that the boys don't really care about sex, as it more depends on like who they're having sex with, and that she understands basically what she's going through and has seen BJ hook up with hundreds of girls, which is gross, like toxic. Like, I can't believe that she's explaining this type of behavior away and being like, "No, but like he loves you and that's the difference." It's like, no. So that's why Christian didn't care about the sex tape being released, because he isn't in love with Vanna and is only in love with Daisy. And this is what she says. "Maybe it did," she shrugs, "but it isn't the same, Daisy, because he's never loved her. He just loves you. And to them, that's the only part that matters." And it's like, it definitely shouldn't be the only part that matters, though. So it gets through to Daisy, and so she decides that she'll go with Magnolia to go over and see Christian. But first, Magnolia's like, "Let's change your clothes," because that's also Magnolia shtick. So then we get to chapter 59, and Magnolia brings Daisy over to Christian's house, and the box set boys are there, and Christian and Daisy are first very standoffish with each other, and then they go somewhere private, and they both immediately apologize to each other, are like all over each other. He explains to her exactly what Magnolia explained, which is basically like that sex is just sex to him with other people, but with her it's very different because he loves her. She explains that she still has all the pics of her and Tiller and her and Romeo because she just doesn't delete anything and it doesn't mean anything. So they're good. They have makeup sex. Great, whatever. Afterwards, they rejoin the group and they're all snuggly and happy. And Parks is like, "All right, let's figure out what to do about this whole sex tape thing." So they pull up the video and everyone watches it while Daisy and Christian just watch them watching it. And it's so weird because like all the guys are like very proud of Christian and his bedroom skills. It's then discovered that the video at the end cuts off at a very weird spot, and Christian realizes that Vanna must have released the video. now realizes why Daisy was so mad about it, and he ends up showing the group the whole video because apparently when he climaxes, he yells out Daisy's name, which makes Daisy so happy. Let me give you the quote. "You love me," Daisy grins. "You think about me when you're having casual sex with other women." "Yeah," I nod, exclusively. "Aw, so sweet," Magnolia sighs, watching us. "You should stop that, though. Like, let's just stop that now." And I couldn't agree more. The bar is in hell. You think of me when you have sex with other women? That's what we're saying. Oh, that's so... What? Okay. Anyways, so Magnolia, it basically ends the chapter with Magnolia planning to get back at Vanna. We get to chapter 60, and it's Julian's chapter, and he texts Daisy to come home immediately, and that's because Romeo and his dad were both shot at, and Daisy, of course, works her magic, getting that bullet out, doing all the things. He's going to be staying at the compound for a while, which makes Christian a little bit wary, but it's turns out not to be a big deal. And now Daisy has to be on triple security, like high security, and she has to wear Kevlar everywhere she goes. Then we get to chapter 61, and it's a few days later. Christian takes Daisy out for an event. She's very hesitant about it though, because one, she has to wear Kevlar everywhere, and two, it'll be the first time they're going out together since the sex tape was leaked. They get to the event, it goes well enough. Tiller is randomly there, and Daisy wants to go say hi, and this is how Christian lets her go say hi. "No," Christian shakes his head. "I'm never being on good terms with him. Don't talk to him." I stare at him for a few seconds. "You have a sex tape with your ex all over the internet." "Oh fuck. Fine," he groans. "That's the only time you can use that for the rest of the week though, okay? I'm not getting you coffee in the morning. If there's only one bagel left tomorrow morning, fuck you, I'm having it, and you can't say shit." I roll my eyes at him before heading over to Tiller. It's a strained reunion, but they leave it at, "If you ever need anything from me, call me." Also, Vanna then shows up and yells at Daisy, but then Magnolia steps in and tells her that they'll be releasing the rest of the video, and that her whole scheme of being like this sad girl actor is going to be coming to an end. Basically, it's a mic drop moment for Magnolia. Daisy's impressed. And that's the end of Vanna. So, yay! Now we get to chapter 62, and Christian takes Daisy home with him again for a meal with his family. His father, for the past few weeks, has really been making an effort to be around, which Christian is, like, not a huge fan of. He doesn't really trust him, but his mom is really happy, flittering around the house, asking about the plans of the sex tape and like Magnolia's thoughts. Christian's dad asks Daisy tons of questions about herself during the meal, acting very interested, which again throws Christian off because it's again his dad showing interest in him and his life. His mom ends up going down to get some wine and doesn't come back for a while, and his dad yells for her, but there's no answer. They go and they find her on the ground in the wine cellar with blood coming out of her head. Daisy goes straight into action. His dad is like crying, saying that he loves her, that he just got her back, he's so sorry. Christian pulls his dad off his mom to give Daisy some space. His mom's pulse is very weak. Daisy says something along the lines of, "She'll be fine," but Christian's like, "I think she's lying." And so, very traumatic, very wild, like left turn that we're taking here. Then we get to chapter 63, and Daisy is at the hospital with Christian outside his mother's room. Daisy is trying to comfort Christian. Everyone is coming and going. All of the gang lords are coming and going because everyone loves Christian's mom. Christian's dad is freaked out, very stressed, almost fights with Christian's uncle at one point because Christian's uncle, again, is still the worst. Daisy goes to buy some flowers for his mom's room, and when she brings them back, they're peonies, and apparently his mom doesn't like peonies, and his dad freaks out about it, which then makes Christian freak out about it. asking like, how would he know? And his dad says it's because she's his wife, and Christian's like, she's basically been a widow for the past 15 years, and they get into a fight, and Christian almost hits Daisy as she's trying to break it up, which stops the fight in its tracks. Christian and Daisy have a heart-to-heart moment after that. Everything is fine with them, as good as it can be after a moment like that. Then we get chapter 64, and Julian decides that he needs a distraction, and so he goes to one of Jonah's clubs, and of course Magnolia, BJ, and Henry are all there. He sees that Parks is over with Henry, and then BJ is off by himself, and so he goes over to talk to BJ and finds out about the situationship between Parks and BJ, which pisses him off because he doesn't understand why BJ and Parks are not just together. He's given up Parks just for them to still be in that phase of like, oh, we're like working our stuff out. And so this is what Julian thinks. Bit pissed about it, really. I glance over at Valentine. Feels like he looked a gift horse in the mouth. I handed her back to you on a silver platter, and you're figuring shit out? What shit? She's it. That's all that matters. Her. So fuck him. He's a fucking idiot who grew up with everything handed to him, so all he wants with her is the chase. But I just want her. I stand up, not taking my eyes off her. I'll catch you in a bit, yeah? So he goes over to talk to Parks, asks her the same question, basically, trying to make her question whether or not BJ will ever follow through with her. She runs off. BJ follows. Then he talks to Henry, and they talk about the situation with Tora and Jonah. He thought maybe it was going to be done by now, but now that Jonah's mom is in the hospital, Tora is like back in it with Jonah. However, then Tora comes. Julian decides to leave, and as he's leaving, he spots Magnolia by herself. She's crying. He takes her home, but not before trying to convince her to go home with him. She doesn't, because she's like, no, that would be hurting BJ. And so these people are all a mess. Then we get to chapter 65, and Christian is watching as his dad is trying to make up for lost time with his wife by talking to her unconscious body, basically. It just makes him think about what his mother had told him at one point about trying to find someone that you not only want to experience the good times with, but the bad times with. And this is a quote that his mother had given him. You don't need a fair weather lover. You need the person that's going to stand next to you in their wellies, staring down the barrel of the storm. It's Daisy. I know it's Daisy. And so he basically then goes and talks to Daisy about this, about his feelings of like, you are the person that I want to be with. And so basically is like, I'm saying yes to disappearing with you. This is what I want. I want to be with you. And she's over the moon excited about it because she still wants to live this normal life. And so they start to kind of make plans of both of them leaving and disappearing and like where they would go. She's nervous about telling Julian, but they just know that they want to be together and they want to disappear together. So yay, nothing can go wrong, right? Wrong. Now we get into chapter 66, and Julian decides he wants to get back together with Parks. That he overreacted. He loves Parks, so he's been planting seeds for them to get back together. Here's something that he says, and maybe he's right. Maybe she needs more than a minute, but also maybe she's forgotten that we were fucking spectacular together, and we weren't even together. We made sense. I love how I felt when I was with her. I love who she makes me be, how she makes me feel. So all of this is happening. He's hanging out the compound with the Lost Boys, and he notices that they got some flowers. They're kind of whatever about it. He's like, where did these come from? And they're like, oh, I don't know. There's no note, whatever. They try and figure out what flowers they are, and they realize they are magnolias. And they freak out, because that's when it hits them. Oh, flowers. Remember that thing that was happening at the very beginning? Yeah, we're back to that now. They immediately go into action. Julian tracks where Parks is and starts heading that way. He calls her frantic. Her sister picks up. The connection is all weird, so he can barely like talk to them or anything. They make it to her location just in time to see Magnolia's car get hit by another car, and it flips, and he is freaking out. Julian wants to go over to her, but Ko is like, no, we gotta go. We don't know where Daisy is. We need to make sure that Daisy is safe. Daisy is in danger right now. We gotta go. We don't even know if Magnolia is alive. They end up going, but it takes a lot to get Julian to get back in the car and not go over to Magnolia and make sure that she is okay. So I mean, we went from 0 to 100 in 3.5. Shut up and drive. Then we go to chapter 67, and it's Daisy's chapter, and she is still hanging with Christian at the hospital. His mom is still in a coma. They're kind of getting into a routine there, and they're talking about making plans for where they're gonna go once everything is over. It's cute because he wants somewhere super warm, she wants somewhere super cold. They're still talking about that stuff when Daisy gets a text from Romeo asking her to meet him out in front of the hospital because he needs to give her something. And Daisy's like, okay, tells Christian that that's where she's going. Christian's like, you want me to come with you? She's like, no, it's fine. So she goes, and automatically she knows that something is wrong. Romeo's like, I need you to get into the car. She's like, no, I'm not going to go into the car. He tries to pull her into the car. She is fighting him off. Then Miguel comes up behind her, throws her in the car. She is screaming at this point, like screaming for Christian. Christian gets to the door and is like coming out of the hospital right as he sees her getting thrown into the vehicle. He runs over to her. It starts punching the car door, the car window, to try to get to her. She is banging on the car window, and it's a very dramatic scene. Like, she's sobbing. He's freaking out. They drive away, and Christian chases, but obviously can't keep up, and Daisy is just destroyed by this. And she says, I love him. He's all I want. He's all I think about. Everything I didn't want or believe about love, I want and believe in it with him. And loving him has undone me wide open. And if time has taught me anything, it's that loving anyone when my brother is who he is a mistake. She also says, I lose people like a tree loses its leaves in autumn. I'm marred by it. It's the thing that shapes me most, my most distinctive characteristic. Some people have freckles sprinkled on their noses. Other people have eyes clear like water, or hair that's the color of the night. But me, my unique feature is that I lose everyone and everyone loses me. Which is so sad. So dramatic, so sad. Then we get chapter 68, and it's Christian's perspective, and he is running back into the hospital to get his car and to get help. He tells Jonah about Romeo and Miguel taking Daisy, and Jonah tries to calm him down and tells him about what happened with Magnolia, which just throws Christian for a loop, finding out that it was a hit on her. And so Jonah tells him that Daisy and Julian are now fleeing the country. Magnolia is still in surgery, so they don't know if she's going to be okay. Christian demands to know where Julian is taking Daisy, but Jonah's like, I don't know. Christian doesn't believe him, ends up pulling a gun on him, demanding to know where she is. Jonah says he doesn't know, and even if he did, Christian wouldn't be able to do anything about it because, like, what would he do? Go after her, find her? The people who are trying to find her would then follow him and find her too. It's like a situation where he's like stuck. Like, he can't go off and try and find her now because if he does, then he'll just lead the bad guys straight to her. So Christian's really hurting. He is really hurting at this point. This is what he says at the end of his chapter. Because I'm afraid of all of it. Of what it means, of where she's going, how long she'll be gone, what I'll look like without her. How can I have lost her again when I've just gotten her back? No one can be happy. That's what I'm finding with these books. These books always end horribly. And we have our last chapter, chapter 69. Nice. Daisy calmed down during the drive to a small airstrip that her family actually owns. She plans on running as soon as the doors open, which she does. However, Romeo chases her down and acts super weird, like he's the one being betrayed here. Like, I don't know why, make that make sense, but he's acting betrayed. They put her on the plane, and that's when she spots Julian, who is looking very rough. He's definitely on something to try and calm him down, especially after everything with Magnolia. Like, he's just in a bad place. He doesn't know if Magnolia is okay or not, just that Julian saw it, and I mean, obviously he blames himself for it. She then asks where they're going, and this is what happens. I sit down next to my brother, rest my head against his arm. Where are we going? I ask, wipe my nose with my hand. He puts his head on top of mine and stares straight ahead. Away, Days. And again, that's it. That's the end. Yeah, no one can be happy, so. Oh my goodness, we have done it again. My throat is completely shot. Like, after talking for that long, that took me forever to film. So please watch this. Anyways, so that is the entire plot of Daisy Haites The Great Undoing. That was a lot. Again, very dramatic. I will say I did like this one more than the first one. I just don't feel like it was quite as cyclical in like the drama that was happening. Like, it felt like it moved forward a little bit. More often than not, people were fairly happy and in love. Man, but poor baby Julian. I mean, he is going through it right now. I want him to find his forever. If I continue reading these, that's what I want. Because, man, he deserves it. And also, like, he seems like he's got his shit together. BJ, like, BJ does not. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you've watched all the way to this part, it was a long one. Thank you guys for watching, and I will talk to you all again soon. Bye!